Hi, my name is Kel and I'm a therapist and educator with a special interest in eating disorders. Come on in, take a seat, and if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe for bite-sized content across the mental health and eating disorder spectrum. In today's video, I want to talk to you about exactly how common eating disorders are. Ever since I first started talking about creating this YouTube channel, I've had a number of people say to me, but are eating disorders really common enough to warrant making an entire YouTube channel dedicated to that topic? And spoiler alert, the answer to this question is yes. And even if you have attended some of my eating disorder training or CPD events in the past, I'll be including some hot off the press statistics in today's video, so do stick around for that. Let's get into it. For a number of years, many UK organisations have been using the statistic that 1.25 million people in the UK are affected by eating disorders. So that's around 2%. Now hang on, stop, wait, don't click out of this video. This isn't an entirely accurate answer to the question. In fact, it's quite challenging to try to figure out exactly what the prevalence of eating disorders in the UK are, because there is no centralised database which records all of those who have been diagnosed. And even if that did exist, that wouldn't account for those people who are suffering in silence, those people who have yet to seek out help or support yet, or those people that for whatever reason choose not to access a diagnosis and care after that point. So in seeking a more accurate representation of how many people might be affected by eating disorders, this brings me to the 2019 Health Survey for England. This survey is conducted on a sample of the UK population and suggests that around 16% of the adult population are showing signs of an eating disorder. And we now have an even more hot off the press statistic as it pertains to children and young people, following the Mental Health in Children and Young People survey, which was conducted by NHS Digital in 2021. These statistics were just released just a few days ago, around about a week ago, and these are suggesting that around about 13% of 11 to 16-year-olds might be struggling with eating disorder symptoms. And perhaps the most shocking statistic here is that they found that in 17 to 19-year-olds, a huge 58% of those individuals reported signs of an eating disorder. This collectively would obviously represent far more than 1.25 million people in the UK. In fact, if we go with that 16%, and we apply that to the UK population, we would actually be anticipating a huge 10.5 million people just in the UK living with symptoms of, or perhaps diagnosed with, an eating disorder. This is a staggering number. I want to say that I'm surprised by those figures, but actually I'm not. I've been working in private practice for many years now, and I almost always consistently have an extensive waiting list, and I'm aware that the waiting lists for eating disorders across the country are just getting longer and longer, and I receive dozens of emails most weeks from people who are living with or caring for somebody displaying signs of an eating disorder who are seeking help. However, in case you do want to check out those statistics for yourself, I will leave the references for those down below in the description box. I would actually like to unpack this number a little bit more. 10.5 million seems like an impossible number to try and mentalise, but when we think about that as 16%, so that's 16 people per 100 in the population, that starts to become something that perhaps we can relate to a little bit more. In fact, apparently, the average UK wedding guest list is 100 people. So that would mean that at an average wedding in the UK, there would be 16 people in that room who are struggling in some way, shape or form with signs or symptoms of an eating disorder. How about right now, watching this video, you grab your phone or log into your social media and take a look at how many people you follow or how many people you communicate with on a regular basis. What's 16% of that? The chances are that you know somebody. Maybe you even know multiple people who are affected by eating disorders, and they've just never shared that with you, you've never had that conversation with them. If we were to look at those childhood statistics, which were showing 13%, that would mean on average around about 3 children and young people in every high school class. And if we took that huge statistic of 58% of 17 to 19-year-olds, that would mean that in a typical college class, there would be around 10 students struggling with signs of an eating disorder. And this really starts to bring it home when we think about it in this way. An additional way to try and make sense of prevalence might be to compare one health condition to another health condition. Compare the prevalence of one health condition to another healthcare condition. So maybe we can try and do that now. Let's take a condition that's commonly talked about, something like dementia. According to Alzheimer's UK, there are currently around about 800,000 people in the UK living with dementia. So that's less than 1 million. That means that if we were to compare the prevalence of eating disorders to the prevalence of dementia, eating disorders are 10 times, in fact more than 10 times more common than dementia. So what else might we compare it to see if we can find something else? How about diabetes? According to Diabetes UK, there are around about 4.9 million people living with diabetes. So eating disorders are even twice as common than diabetes, something that I'm absolutely sure most of us would consider a common healthcare complaint, which leads me to want to state that eating disorders are in fact very common. Let's try one last comparison. According to NHS UK, arthritis has about 10 million people affected in the UK, and that would mean that that was similarly prevalent to eating disorders. In fact, all of these conditions that I just mentioned, dementia, diabetes, and arthritis, are conditions that almost all of us will know somebody or perhaps even multiple people who are affected by them. And perhaps we might even think that we know a thing or two about those conditions. And yet, eating disorders in many arenas remain significantly misunderstood. Therefore, 100%, there are enough people affected by eating disorders for it to be worth me making this entire YouTube channel dedicated to that topic. And it would also be worth you watching this video right now, subscribing to learn more about these conditions that are affecting people that you care about, people that you know, people that you love. I would be interested to hear down in the comments if you're surprised by these statistics, and I would also love to hear if you have any feedback on today's video, or if there are any topics of conversation surrounding eating disorders that you would like me to cover in future videos. If for any reason you don't feel comfortable leaving that as a comment, which is public, you are also absolutely welcome to email me. The email address, if you're watching this video directly in YouTube, can be found below in the description box. Or if you're watching this video from my website, you'll find an email button on the right hand side. Thanks for your time today, and until next time, be kind, be curious, and be yourself.